Hello, admins. How we doing out there? Today we're going to discuss a couple different types of dispensations and talk a little bit about international convention in Reno and the registration being open. So first, let's talk about dispensations because right now we seem to have an issue like we did last year. A lot of lodges are having New Year's Eve events but have not applied for their dispensation yet. Remember, when you're applying for a dispensation, you have to have the dispensation before you start advertising the event. That's a regulation. I would hate for somebody to get turned down, not be able to have the event, and be advertising on social media and in the newsletter there's going to be this big event. Now, these dispensations are really easy to fill out, and if your lodge is having an event in the reception hall, bingo hall, wherever you're having it in your building, and you're inviting the public in, you have to get this dispensation. Not getting this dispensation and having somebody that's not a member there and getting hurt um, could turn into a ugly situation where the lodge gets sued lots of money and you're not covered because you didn't have permission to have that event. So on this dispensation form, which you can get from the Moose International website, also came in the little flash drive that Moose International gave out to all administrators this year after convention, and a few were a little later after that because I was a little behind on getting them out. Um, they're super simple to fill out. These dispensations, it says the community fundraiser, there's one with or without alcohol. Of course, if you're talking New Year's Eve right now, so you're probably going to have alcohol. Simply put your lodge number on there, what you're requesting the facilities for, a New Year's Eve celebration party, whatever you want to put there, for the purpose of, and it can be fundraising. The lodge is allowed to do these type of fundraisers and make money off of them. Uh, it asks what activity is going to be conducted, most likely a dinner and a dance or what have you. Simple, doesn't have to be overly detailed in what's going on. And who will receive the proceeds? It can be the lodge, of course. Um, then down here, all you have to do is have the president and administrator sign them, and you'll know, even if you are using the old forms that you may have on your computer, make sure you're using the most updated version, which it would be the one that says president on it. That way, you're have the most current one. Um, like last year, when Moose International, when the compliance office sends that back, they'll send that addendum, that extra letter about New Year's Eve celebrations and making sure that the lodge has some system set up for people who may be intoxicated, whether that's Uber and taxied rides home, the lodge offering free rides to people. But there's something has to be in place. So you have to have a plan at least and sign that paperwork. Plus, I think it says on there, you're not going to overserve people and a few other things, but that's mandatory. They started doing that really. They started enforcing it hard last year, and I know they're going to do it again this year. So make sure you're filling out this dispensation form. I have very few lodges at this point that have applied for a dispensation for New Year's Eve, and we're getting really close to the deadline. The issue is, there's two people in the chief compliance office, and if the week before 1,000 lodges in a dispensation, they may not be able to get them done and get them completed in time. So we have to give them plenty of time, and that's one of the major reasons there's the rule that you need to apply for the dispensation before you're advertising for it. So you should be applying for a dispensation 30 days out at least. So you guys should have been asking for these in November, and still we have lots of lodges that have not done that yet. Also, if your lodge is going to be members only and they're not bringing the public in, that is fine. And no, you do not have to have a dispensation. But what I am seeing lodges advertising in their newsletters or on social media about the event, and it lists what's going on, but it is very vague. Remember, you should be putting members and qualified guests only if you're not being open to the public. And that matters for a couple of reasons. First of all, you don't want uh, any government agency to see that because that's what they've been doing, and then go in and try to tax you or find out you've been open to the public because someone comes in and wasn't signed in right, and you're having one of these type of events. Plus, it makes it simple. If someone's reading it and it follows your lodge's Facebook page because of bands or bingo or whatever they might be following the page, and they see that and it doesn't say, they're going to assume that they're probably invited, and we don't want them to get there and then be turned away thinking they get there. So on your social media, if you're members only for your New Year's Eve event, which we do have some lodges that do that, make sure on your social media and anywhere you're advertising it says members and qualified guests only. Also, while we're talking about dispensations, we need to cover universal dispensations and when you need to have a special meeting. It seems like we're struggling a lot on that. We're getting a lot of lodges that are getting turned down. First of all, same place where you go get those other dispensations. There's one called a universal dispensation, and it's also on that flash drive as well. And it looks a little bit different because it's not for community fundraising. So it has a different list of things on there, what you're applying for. You can look in the general laws book on page 131, and it covers the first 7 things, cover the things that you have to have a special meeting for. So we'll cover that in just a second. But when you're getting those universal dispensations, let's say we're looking at a furnished unit for the lodge and it's more than $5,000. You have to make sure you're getting a dispensation approved for that. That does mean when you send that dispensation form and you don't send it by itself, you need to send it where the minutes where the board discussed it and voted on it, and the general membership at a general membership meeting approved that and discussed it as well. You don't have to necessarily have a special meeting on that one because it's not part of, on those dispensations, it's number 8, so it's below having to have a special meeting. If you're looking at that list and you see where it needs a special meeting 1 through 7, realize there's no dollar amounts involved in that because, and here's where we're getting in trouble, a lodge does any lodge improvements, anything, they have to have a special meeting on that, and we're getting a little out of whack. So let me back up. So if you don't need to have a special meeting, you need to, when you send the dispensation form in, send in the minutes where the board has talked about it, voted on it, discussed it, and the membership has approved that at a general membership meeting. If you have one of the things that fall under the guidelines where you have to have a special meeting, it isn't as dramatic and as hard as it sounds because it's a special meeting. You have to let all your membership know that there is a special meeting taking place. The easiest way to do that, again, planning ahead and not waiting to the last minute, is to put it in a newsletter. If you can't do that, then you need to send a postcard to all your membership. That costs money, and I always say use it as a last resort. At the special meeting, all you can discuss is the one issue. So we're needing money for, we're going to go out and get a loan, and it's $50,000, and it's a lodge improvement. We're encumbering assets because we're getting a mortgage, so you have to have that special meeting. That's the only thing you can discuss at that meeting, is whether or not the membership wants to approve that. Again, there's guidelines for a special meeting. I won't drag this video out. You can go in and find that, how long you have to, how much of a notice you have to give your membership and all that type of stuff. But when you do have a special meeting, you need to make sure you take the minutes down properly and in detailed what took place, how many people were there. Also, there is one caveat that you can add into a special meeting. You can have the membership vote on whether or not to receive electronic forms of communication in the future for notices for special meetings. So if you're sending a special meeting notice out, it could be those 2 things. We're getting the $50,000 loan that we need approved on, and we're going to take a vote on electronic communications. If that gets passed for electronic communications, then you can send emails, social media, and then I always say I would put up letters around the lodge too, in the restrooms on the communication boards. That way you have your self covered, but that way you don't have to put it in the newsletter, or you don't have to send postcards out. But we need to really pay attention to what we're doing on that, because we have lots of lodges that are doing lodge improvements and not getting that dispensation. And we need to remember that the membership has the right to vote on that, and you need to get a dispensation from Moose International. Not doing that does leave you guys liable. If a member gets mad and wants to report that they went out and got that $150,000 improvement loan for the lodge, and then it's funny, the lodge never got improved in any way, shape, or form, and they call Moose International, you guys could become liable for that money. So we need to make sure we're protecting our behinds on that one. If you guys have any questions about dispensations, always feel free to give me a call. Excuse me. Last but not least, I'll try to get this video short, try to keep it under 10 minutes, but I'm at 9:30 already. International Convention, the communications from Moose International will go out this week, that the registration is open, and There's a lot of information in there. They're going to have communications also. I'll put it on the Indiana Moose Association website. A lot of Q&A questions, and then the preliminary uh, meeting agenda scheduling, because again, they always just do preliminary because things could always change, but it's just a general outline. This day is going to be all business and workshops, and this is that. Those kind of things don't really change too much. Excuse me. Also, what we're going to be promoting is we want to make sure that when we're discussing this with our board of officers and the membership, which again, this is a communication for Moose International that should be being discussed at both those meetings. We're encouraging them to make sure they use their Moose rewards. If they have more than 30,000 Moose reward points, they can use that for the registration amount to cover the registration costs of the international convention. The only way they can do that, though, is not on the paper form. They'll have to go online to the Moose International web link to be able to use that. If they have at least 30,000 points, it'll be an option on there for them to use their Moose rewards. If they go to that link and it doesn't give them an option, that means they do not have at least 30,000 points in their Moose rewards at the time. As always, thank you very much. Sorry we made it a little bit longer, but we needed to discuss dispensations, and we didn't have a video last week, so there you go. Take care, guys. Bye.